Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, with this week's major update came the insurance system, and as far as I'm concerned, bravo to the devs. And why am I saying bravo? Well, this is a good quality of life update. It is the first money grab quality of life update. They actually have improved the game to a point where it is going to make a difference. So let's talk about this, and then I will further elaborate on other quality of lives. So, okay, and before we get into that, could you please leave a like and comment on my video? Consider subscribing to my channel and tell me whether you disagree with me on this being a good quality of life update. I'm actually over the moon that it's here. It's really good for the game. So, the insurance system is in no way perfect. Yes, it doesn't cultivate enough of a support for itself before you use it, and it's still too risky to cultivate that factor of a player's rage quit. So what do we need for this system to go a little bit more forward? Let's talk about that first. Well, there's an auditing time on PvP losses. I don't understand it, and I'm going to be clear, right? When it comes to a PvP loss, because it's insured, it should be instant, unlike anything else. And I'm like so frustrated with the auditing locks. You can earn 70 million, you can earn 100 million, but there's an auditing lock on it. Everything has auditing locks. It prolongs the game. Stop it, open it out. This is already enough money for you guys. You'll have made people pay plex for you to get insurance. Take off auditing. Right, so there we go with part 1 of it. Let's open it to part 2. The insurance system makes life way simpler, even though it is still very expensive at 30% of the value of your ship. For an insurance system to give you this to the game really makes it much easier. For example, should I lose my 552 million vessel over here, which isn't 552 million, another problem within that entire system is the market isn't live, so prices don't fluctuate accordingly, and you get overestimates on how much you're insuring for. So with that being said, my ship is worth 480 million at the maximum. If I were to count it at 30%, that will be around 150 million to insure it. Yes, it is still quite expensive, but no, it's not more expensive than my ship is regularly. Should I put it up completely to the maximum value of 2 billion ISK at the moment, since prices have come down on a lot of the items? That's 2 billion ISK with the value of the system in the value of the system being 30%. That will be about 600 million in value, and now we have a problem. It's a bit too high for me to sustain on replacing my ship multiple times. The value is not good enough for the sustaining, and as you can understand, on a low value it isn't that bad. On a high value it becomes difficult. 600 million is 2 T10 missions before you lose your ship, and yes, that doesn't sound too bad, but it is very bad. 2 T10 missions is a lot of time put into the game. It's about 6 hours worth of gameplay if you solo. It's about 4 hours if you're in a good enough team of 2 or 3, and if you're in a full fleet, it's about 2 or 3 hours worth of gameplay as a team. Okay, so what next to this entire situation? Well, with all of this, it does give that good security, but for the first time user of the insurance, there isn't really a reason for it to say it's going to help you major. When you don't pre-purchase the insurance and you lose a ship, you pay full price at the moment. They need to give it about a year to sink in so that players can really lock into the system, where they give you a slight bonus or a slight allowance on the insurance for post-claim. So how would that work? Well, you give a person 5 chances on an account to claim a ship, right? To claim any ship at this 30% insurance rate, right? So that's perfect. That's 5 claims. You lose a ship, you purchase it the first time of insurance, you're like, hey, you know what, that was way cheaper than replacing the ship from scratch. I'm happy with it. Then they go into the insurance system, and you need to catch them with at least 2 tiers. You can prepay a full figure and you can get 30% unlimited for as long as you play the game. Or you can fill the pool till you have 3 times the value of your ship, and you will only pay 10% towards insurance on recovery. Okay, that means I can lose my ship 10 times before I would have actually had to replace the ship. So that's a fantastic thing for me. So let me go and work on this here with everything that I have. Work. There we go. 10% of the value. Nice small amount, nice small margin. Good one to go with. But with that, now we have a problem for NetEase. NetEase needs you to be spending those high amounts of plex. So how can they get the game to really move that plex around, give you that large flow of income? Let's think about it. We want to make income flow through the game. We want there to be more money. There's true PvP coming out in a few months, so yeah, we got PvP coming for real. What about PvE? Is PvE really a good potential? Well, it used to be, but now it's really reduced. Can we increase the game's audience? Yes, we could. So how would we do this? Well, we need to introduce a new activity that cultivates everybody to work together. Something that's so important to the game that without it, it makes your ability to function as a corp almost impossible. Alright, what is that? We need corps to move to nullsec. We need more wars. We need more people clamoring and jumping for nullsec. Alright, I've explained that much. So we know that we need to make it move to nullsec only. A nullsec only PvE activity. Alright, next thing to it. We need to ensure that it ties in a lot of PvP around its situation. We need to make sure that it forms unity of communities and also causes a lot of disputes amongst communities as well. So it must be able to cause unity and war at the same time. Alright, so how do we do this? It has to be super high earning. Number one, it has to be so high earning that it warrants a corp to form everything around it. Alright, so what could we do? Dead spaces can spawn randomly across a massive region. They make corps very sporadic. They make activities very limited. You don't get that many dead spaces. Things are very slow. Alright, there's the modules that are coming for stations. Alright, that's not so bad. What else could we do? 0.1 and 0.9 sectors. They aren't everywhere. They're very limited and they're a very small amount of the map. From all of the null sects, like for example, if you just look at one area, there's only about 10 of those sectors. And if you count everything around the edge, that would mean like 300-400 of these sectors. Okay, that's a good start. So let's look at it from that point of view. Let's make it 0.1 only to limit that number down to the bare minimum. Okay, so we have it at 0.1 only. To make sure that you can do this activity, let's force the corp to do something really expensive. You have to deploy a corp citadel in the 0.1 sector to make this end level activity visible. Alright, that gave us a solid one. So we know they're going to have to put corp citadels in 0.1 sectors. So now we know 0.1 sectors are going to be these massive points for fights. Alright, so everybody's going to be clamoring over it, and we need to make more restrictions so that more players go for these sectors. Only where you are in an allied or your own corp's citadel can you see the special anomaly. Okay, so there we go. Now we're forcing them to make big communities and gather up in large numbers. This is going to cause friction. This is going to cause people to try and speed run the activity. But the activity needs to be really difficult to warrant such a high reward. So what type of activity would it be? Full faction, only faction. Alright, that makes a big problem because it's going to drive the value of faction ships down. Okay, no loot drops from these anomalies. Alright, so there's no loot drops. How are they earning? Pure bounty. Alright, this here is now getting very interesting. We have pure bounty. What is the bounty from these activities? Well, we're going to have to assign it to the ships. So for a base level, we're going to have the first tier. It's going to only spawn once an hour, so 1 hour a day in that sector you're going to get this anomaly. So people are going to have to stay in that sector. They're going to all have to get ready for it, and the moment it comes in, you're going to jump in and you're going to fight it. If your team is too big, you don't get enough reward. If your team is too small, you lose all the reward because it's too difficult for you to complete. So what do we do to these faction ships? Full potential. Give them drones, give them shield fields, give them everything to the maximum class, give them all of the AI limits to the hardest level you can give them. I guarantee you NetEase is going to be happy about that. It sounds like it's a super difficult activity. I can imagine jumping in with the regular fleet to try and take on 4 battleships. It's just going to blast out that entire fleet. So you can't just jump in with any ship. You have to jump in with very tanky ships. So if you're going after 4 or 5 battleships, you're going to need 10 battleships to take them on. So it's very high level. It's going to require that massive input from the players. So what next? What else to make this difficulty worth it? So how big are the bounties going to be? Well, 5% of the market value of the ships. So the Rattlesnake is worth 20 billion, so its reward is 1 billion. So if you destroy one Rattlesnake, you're earning $1 billion. Now that is divided by your entire fleet, so the bigger your fleet, the smaller the reward. So 10 men to $1 billion is 100 million apiece. It only spawns once an hour, so how much is that sector really making of it? Well, not that much. 2.4 billion coming in per player on that one sector. It's not enough to change the base. But wait, there's more. There's 4 battleships in that entire wave. There's 3 cruisers and there's 3 frigates. So there's this whole dynamic of the fight. You have to eliminate things one by one. You have to fight the way you would fight in a regular battle. It's giving you this high level thought, this high level coordination, this massive skill requirement to complete it. And it's also becoming very expensive. So you're going to need to insure your ship before you go in, if you get what I'm saying. So you're going to insure at the maximum level. You're going to have to clamor everything together and get this insurance ready. There's it. You've got 10 people insured. You can go in. So what about the player who doesn't have an expensive ship? Well, there's a limit to how many you can do a day. You can only perform this task 3 times a day. Okay, right. So we've got it 3 times a day. We've got a good value earning. So why would this cause more wars? Well, let's add the ante to it. Neutral and enemy corps cannot see the special anomaly in the sector. So they can't jump in and attack you while you're in there. Alright, so that means you can keep earning without them interrupting you. And that means you can also hide massive fleets in these places. That makes it very dangerous. So the enemy fleet needs to wipe out your station as fast as possible so that you can't use it for a tactical advantage. Next stage, come in with the fleet, destroy your enemy station to ensure they aren't earning. But what I was talking about isn't enough to make a corp super powerful. 1 billion is only 100 million to the corp. It's not really going to change the balance of the game, and it's not really enough to make you clamor too many people into a sector. So we need tiers. We need a tier 2 and a tier 3. Alright, there we go. We finally came up with a good way of improving this. Tier 2, what do we have in tier 2? Well, tier 2 is an advanced number. We pull it up to the maximum of a full fleet. There are now 50 ships in here. Alright, so there are now 50 ships in there. You're going to have to fight this massive battle. There's 50 ships. The firepower moving around is so crazy. Ships are guaranteed going to go down. Alright, but the reward out of it, crazy figures. There's tens of billions coming out. It's now worth it for the corp. $1 billion every hour coming out from this tier 2. Wait, no, that's too fast. Tier 2 spawns once every 2 hours. Okay, fantastic. We've now got a nice ranking to it. And Tier 1 spawns every hour, so you have teams for Tier 1, and then you have teams for Tier 2. This forces stronger teams to go for Tier 2, weaker teams to go for Tier 1. But that still isn't that icing to force a war over it. Tier 3. Let's put Tier 3 once every 6 hours. And not just a slight increase, 4 times the value of the previous one, 200 enemies inside it. 200, yes. This is going to be crazy. This is going to be so ridiculous that ships are going to fall left, right, and center. It's going to be the key aspect of your entire fight. So what do we need for it? We need to have this massive corps set up. We need to have everybody in the sector. We need these massive fleets of 300 to 400 players jumping in, playing strategies. We need a mix of ships. We need the right ships. We need to figure a way to take them down. And as this corps work on it, they're going to lose tons of ships. NetEase is going to make profit, right? The profits are going to be crazy. You may think that this year sounds a bit too hard, but it isn't really all that hard. When you count 200 ships, it's actually still making the same profit. It's just that the flow up in the game is a little bit more difficult. Players will want to take it on to show that they're that good, and the enemy won't want to risk you getting this year, because let's say in the 50, as I said, you're making $1 billion for your corp. In the bigger one, you're making $4 billion for your corp at the go. This is a massive fleet coming out from your sector, and if this year happens 4 times in a day, that's 16 billion. That's faction battleships for you to make on Doctrine. You can make a Doctrine ship every day, and if your corp holds 4 or 5 of these sectors, that's 5 billion a day. And you get it? It's more risky, it's more dangerous. You can't allow these massive corps to function like that, because with 5 battleships coming out a day as part of the doctrines, this means that these corps are going to be crazy powerful. That means that industry in these areas are going to be so crazy full. You're going to have tons of players. They're going to need industry corps. They're not going to worry about full PvP and PvE. They're going to say, right, we've got PvE corp, we've got PvP corp, we need mining corp, go crazy. Hunt every single belt you can, clean up everything, we need it 24/7. We need to defend these fleets, because if they don't build, we don't make the money from these high levels. And that's what you want. You want everybody working together. You want them collaborating to jump in for these activities, because there's money coming out of it. It's worth something to the game. And with the losses and everything that I've placed, it doesn't outweigh the value of the insurance system. People will still put in a lot more plex than they are pulling out from the game in terms of ISK. Everything is balanced, everything is fair, and only once they have mastered strategies for 200 plus ships will they be able to handle it. Remember, that means time dilation is going to become active in these events. It's a good way for them to get a feel to playing on against players. They're going to have to kill fleets and fleets of ships. These ships are going to be regulated the same way regular players are. No unlimited cap, no unlimited power for them. All of these things putting in a big advantage to the gameplay, and it will make NetEase better. So that is my advice for a future quality of life update. That is going to force so much if they do go for it. Like I have been asking for insurance, I hope that this one also comes true. So let's see what they say about it. See you all in the next one.